Hello everyone, my name is Modesta and I'm going to be talking about my exchange experience at NTU and also some tips on traveling around Taiwan and Southeast Asia. So here's the list of things I'm going to be talking about today. So I would like to start with a little bit about myself. I'm an exchange student at the College of Management and I started my exchange in Taiwan in September of 2019. So I'm staying here for 2 full semesters. And during my first semester, I traveled a lot around Taiwan, and also during the winter break, I backpacked for over a month around Vietnam, Cambodia, and Singapore. So first of all, traveling in Taiwan. If you just arrived to Taiwan and maybe you don't really know yet where you want to go or what you want to see, I made this short list of destinations that, in my opinion, are must visit that are close to Taipei or even in Taipei itself. So transport for traveling in Taiwan. In my opinion, Taiwan has a great public transport system. There's regular trains available that are quite cheap, and you can also get a discount with a valid ISIC card. There's high-speed trains that are more expensive, but there's also multiple discounts available. And they're super fast. From Taipei to Kaohsiung, which is the most southern city in Taiwan, you can get in an hour and a half, which is very fast. There's also buses available that are cheap and, in my opinion, good for shorter distances. There's a variety of motorbikes and cars available for rent. So if you're traveling with a bigger group of people, you can rent a car, and sometimes it would be cheaper than taking a bus or a train. Also, it's very popular to do a cycling trip on the east coast of Taiwan. So you can affordably rent a bicycle for this kind of a trip. Accommodation in Taiwan. For so affordable a place to stay, I would recommend to look at the websites such as Agoda.com and Bookaway.com. Also, Airbnb is a great option, which is something I mostly use in Taiwan. Also, I would highly recommend buying a tent. You can get one for very cheap at Decathlon, because it's very popular in Taiwan to go camping with family and friends. So there's a lot of very affordable or even free campsites around the country. So, for example, in this picture, you can see a free campsite in Taroko National Park. There was restrooms and water provided. So it's a good way to save money when traveling. Here are some general tips for Taiwan. So first of all, I would highly recommend learning at least some basics of Chinese. It really makes a difference when traveling outside of Taipei, because most of the time it's quite hard to communicate in English with local people. And locals really appreciate foreigners knowing at least a little bit of their language. The second tip would be to enroll on the module International Companions for Learning, which is basically Skype calling with students from various schools around the country. During the semester, it gives you an opportunity to travel to those schools for free. So I think it's a great way to discover and visit some places around Taiwan that you probably wouldn't normally go to. And my last tip is to really make an effort to build some relationships with the local students, because this would allow you to fully experience the culture of Taiwan. So traveling Southeast Asia, I would say that basically everyone I met in the first semester at some point of their exchange have traveled to Southeast Asia for a weekend, for a week, or even more. So I would like to talk a little bit about this as well. So first of all, flights. Flights from Taipei or Taiwan in general are not that cheap. So if you want some cheaper or the cheapest available flights, I would recommend checking out Skyscanner. Probably most of you already know about this website, but in case you don't, make sure you have a look at that. Accommodation, again, Agoda.com, in my opinion, is the best website to look for accommodation in Southeast Asia. For example, I would find some really good hostels in Vietnam for $2 a night that would have swimming pool. Looking for accommodation on the spot is also an option, but be ready to pay a little bit more in that case. Transport. So we have Uber in Taiwan, but in the majority of Southeast Asian countries, Grab is the alternative to it. It's very cheap to get the ride there, and in my opinion, it's very reliable. A lot of people also rent motorbikes to reach more distant locations. But make sure that you have international driver's license and also sufficient health insurance, because it's definitely more dangerous driving in Southeast Asia. Some general tips on traveling Southeast Asia. First of all, is to pack some warm clothes, especially if you're traveling to more of the mountainous countries. And this was a mistake I made when I went to Vietnam, because during the night in some parts of the country it would be really freezing. So make sure you pack some warm clothes on your trip. The second tip is to keep your belongings safe. This might sound quite obvious, but Taiwan is a very safe country and you basically don't have to worry about your stuff here. But it's not the same in all countries around. So I met a lot of people who got their phones and wallets stolen or even full backpacks. This last tip is to keep someone from the outside updated when and where exactly you're traveling. And this is really important, especially if you're traveling on your own. So thank you so much for listening, and I really hope that you found those tips useful for your future trips and time in Taiwan. And if you want to get in touch or you have any questions, I'm leaving my details in the slide.